to take a look at the second grammar lecture within the first leción. This is going to be kind of a short one. We are going to look at numbers 0 to 30. What you're going to notice is that from 1 to 10, things don't really quite form a pattern. But once I hit 20, look at the endings of what's behind the 20. 1, 2, 3. So I have 21, 22, 23. So all I'm doing is taking the word 20, which is 20. I'm changing the E to an I, and I'm attaching the ending for what would be the singular numeral. This is the pattern we would follow all the way on up to 100. And it's kind of happening at 16. We'd have 17, 18, 19, but it's a little bit more of a subtle change. Whereas once we hit 20, we can just kind of roll on through those numbers. The number uno and numbers ending in uno, like 21, have more than one form. Before a masculine noun, uno becomes un. So if I want to say one man, I would say un hombre, one man. I wouldn't keep the O attached at the end. Before feminine nouns, uno changes to una. So if I want to say one woman, I would say una mujer. Or if I want to say 21 women, I would say 21. So if I look back at this chart, I have to make sure these endings are appropriate for feminine if I'm using feminine. So numbers have a gender in Spanish, and that is different from how we've done it in the past. So the forms uno and 21 are used when counting. So if I'm just counting numbers, I'm automatically going to assume the male gender right there. And they are going to be used when it follows a noun. That's when I'm going to start looking at masculine and feminine. So la lección uno would be the first lección. And it would stay uno even if the noun is feminine, because I'm just counting a number. It's when it's coming before a group of people here that I would be changing the gender. To ask how many, or how many people, how many things, how many items there are, we would use cuantos before a masculine and cuantas before a feminine. So if I want to say ¿Cuántos hombres están en la casa? How many men are in the house? I use cuántos. If I would want to say cuántas, I would say ¿Cuántos cuadernos tengo Juan? How many notebooks does Juan have? Even though Juan's a male, I'm asking how many notebooks, and notebooks is feminine, la cuaderna. So I would say ¿Cuántas cuadernas tiene Jose? Or Jorge, or whatever the name needs to be there. So it's going to be based on the gender of what's happening that you're asking how many are there. The Spanish equivalent of both there is and there are is I. In your pronunciations, you need to very carefully realize the H sound as a starting sound in Spanish, it is ignored. So I would just say I, not hey. It's I. So to ask is there or are there, I would use different forms of this. So, ¿cuántos estudiantes hay? How many students are there? ¿Hay chicos en la fotografía? Are there guys in the picture? So I is pronounced the AY sound, not the HAY sound. And that is the end of this grammar lecture. Definitely reference back the pronunciation so that as you complete your pronunciation assignments later in the course, you've got the examples of me speaking and utilizing the proper pronunciation of the consonants.